Hello all. So we stopped last time at chi-square random variable. I just gave the brief overview, so I'll just quickly go through it. That let our x1 to xn are independent normal random variables with possibly different means, but the variance is common. And let the mu I, that is the expected value of the random variable xi, is given by mu I for all the random variables, that is I equals 1 to n. So one will subtract the random variable by its mean value and divide it by its standard deviation. Then we know that it will be having a standard normal distribution, right? Because this is what we do for converting any random variable or any distribution to standard normal distribution. So now what the definition of chi-square says, that it follows from the definition that when we square this, so when we'll square it and take summation over all the random variables that we have, then this is having the distribution which is called chi-square distribution, and the degrees of freedom will be n. Now the question is, what is degrees of freedom? So this is our ultimate question that we are gonna answer now, because this is something which is not familiar to us. So let me start with what is degrees of freedom in any case. So now suppose that for each values, so each values of, that is mu I, for all I equals 1 to n that we have, can be expressed. So the disclaimer is that this lecture will be quite a bit longer because I am writing everything, and not I have not pre-written anything. So just stay tuned, and that's the disclaimer. So be prepared and fasten your belts. Now moving back to our point. So each value of mu I can be expressed as a linear function. So let me change the color and write that it can be expressed as a linear function of fixed set of k unknown parameters. So this is the our we suppose this. Okay, so we have say that, let's say each value of mu I can be expressed like this as unknown parameters. Also we are supposing further that, suppose that we can determine estimators of this k parameters which are unknown, and indirectly we can say that which thus gives us estimators of the mean values, because at the end our mu I depends on, let me just write like this way, that mu I depends on k unknown parameters, right? So we can say that, and if we'll determine this k unknown parameters, then ultimately we can say that it will give the estimators of our mean values, that is mu I. So now the very important point is that if we let, so here in this slide there are three suppositions, that is we suppose three things, we assume three things. That firstly, this is this point, okay, I'm not repeating. Then second is, we suppose that if we'll do this, then of course we'll get the estimators of our mu I. And now if we let that mu I denotes the resulting mu I cap, sorry, because we are having estimator now, so let's say mu I cap denotes the resulting estimator of our original mu I. So cap just denotes the estimation part for all I equals 1 to capital N. Then we can show that the quantity, that is summation I equals 1 to n xi minus mu I cap square and divided by, of course, sigma square, will have chi-square distribution as well, because just let me go to the previous slide. That what it says is that when we subtract our random variable from its mean and divide it by its standard deviation, or we are squaring here, so we'll square it, so it will be variance in the denominator. We'll be having chi-square distribution, so the same thing follows here, that this will also have the chi-square distribution, but now there will be n minus k degrees of freedom. So this entire thing I wrote because to explain the degrees of freedom. Now previously there were, like when the summation was from 1 to n, I equals 1 to n, there were n degrees of freedom, right? But now I am arguing that there still the summation is from 1 to n, no doubt, but my degrees of freedoms are changed from, are, you can say, decreased, because it's now n minus k. Now why it is so? It is so because now we know that we estimated our k unknown parameters, right? Because and at the end we estimated our mu I by having k unknown parameters. So now this k unknown parameters we already know, so we are not there, these are not unknowns, and that's why our degrees of freedom will get reduced, and they are just like n minus k in this case, correct? So for example, the example will make it more clear, that consider, just consider one example. I'm just building up this example to make it understand clearly. So this is the example, that consider the case where all the means are known and of course equal, sorry, are known, and we can say they are equal. So they are known to be equal. So mathematically we can say that the expected value of xi is given by mu, and for all n, because we are assuming that the mean for all are equal. Now thus k equals to 1 here. Why? Because what we assumed was that our mean can be written as in terms of k unknown parameters, but since here means are equal, so we just have to estimate mean once, right? So we'll just have one unknown parameter. Okay, so I'm just writing the reason, because there is only one parameter that needs to be estimated. So we can say that now that this summation I equals 1 to n, our xi and our, this can be x bar, let's write, that is the estimated, like the mean e of xi, let's say it's x bar, and divided by sigma square, of course squaring it, is also chi-square distribution. But now can you tell what is the degree of freedom? So it's also a chi-square random variable, but with n minus 1 degrees of freedom. Why? Because we just have to estimate one parameter, right? So here k is 1 at the end. So this is what I want to explain about degrees of freedom. Now we'll go to the actual thing, that we have to estimate two parameters, two estimators of our variance, and in that this degrees of freedom is really important, and that's why I explained this degrees of freedom. Now let's go to our actual ANOVA of, that is finding the estimators. So we'll start with our first estimator. So I'll derive the entire proof of how to get our first estimator. So let me start that this is our first estimator. Now consider again, let me just write everything again, that consider we have m independent samples and each of size n. So here we are having equal size, but we will discuss the case of unequal size as well, where we'll be having different size for different samples. So it can be n1, n2 up till nm for m independent samples. So we'll see that case thoroughly as well. So what we can say, that where the members of ith sample can be written like this: xi1, xi2, and so on up till xin. Is it making sense? That is, if we are having 10th sample, then 10th sample can be written as x10(1), x10(2) up till x10n, because each sample is having n size, right? This is just a generalized version, nothing else. Now we can say that this this random variables or this samples are normal random variables. Just let me write random normal random variables with unknown mean mu I. We don't know anything about mean, so unknown mean mu I, and of course unknown variance sigma square. So we can write that xij in general is following the Gaussian distribution, or we can say normal distribution, with mean mu I and variance sigma square. Of course we know that our I will range from 1 to m, and j will range from 1 to n, correct? Now, of course, our hypothesis testing H naught. Now it's time to define our H naught. That is our null hypothesis. Is that the mean of all of our samples, that is our population, is the same. That is mu1 equals mu2 up till mu m. But versus H1, of course, will be, they are not the same. Right? Of course, not all the means are same. Let me write like this. Are same. So I wrote just not all the means are same. That's it. Now what we can say that is, we'll be testing the null hypothesis that all the population means are equal against the alternate hypothesis, which means that at least two of them differ, right? Because the null alternate says that not all the means are same. So it is just the other way of thinking it. So one way of thinking about this is to imagine that we have m different treatments, and where the results of applying treatment I on an item is a normal random variable with mean mu I and variance sigma square. It's like that. So now, if you didn't get what I just recently said, it's okay. Nothing is important over there. I just try to explain the theoretical part a bit in detail. But the exact thing is that we have to test this null hypothesis. Now, since there are total how many samples, sorry, normal random variables, there are total n into m, so let me write just nm independent normal random variables, xij, because our I ranges from 1 to m, so we can say that we have m different samples, right? That is x1 x2 up till xm, let's say, and each is having size n, that is 1 2 3 up till n, so they have n number of elements. So in total we can say that this will be a matrix of n cross m, so total will be having n into m number of samples. This is what I wrote here, that we have total, we have n into m independent normal random variables, and let's denote in general by xij, correct? So it follows that the sum of squares, why we are taking square now, you can get it because we will be using chi-square distribution, and chi-square distribution is having square, and that's why I'm slowly tending towards square. So coming back to a point, that sum of squares of their standardized version, standardized means we'll just subtract the mean and divide it by its variance, and we'll take the square, right? That will be the standardized version. So the standardized version will be a chi-square random variable, and of course with n into m degrees of freedom right now, because we have total n into m unknown random variables right now. So what we can say that we have xij, will subtract its mean, will take the square of course and divide by its variance, and this will do for all the samples, that is for I equals 1 to m and for j equals 1 to n, correct? So for all the samples that we'll do this, and if we'll substitute this, just I'm substituting e of xij by mu I, that's it, and square and divided by sigma square. So this will be having the chi-square distribution. So I'm just denoting a new notation for chi-square. It is actual notation that this is a chi in Greek letters. So this is chi-square distribution. Now what we want is that to obtain the estimators for the m unknown parameters, that is our I is ranging from 1 to m, and what we said from in our starting is that we'll be having the mu I will be estimated using k unknown parameters, right? It was like that. So here we have mu I that should be estimated with m unknown parameters, right? So what we'll say is that here we have m unknown parameters. So in order to obtain estimators for this m unknown parameters that I wrote above, mu1 to mu m, let we can say that xi denotes the average of all the elements in the sample. So we are just defining notation right now, nothing else, and this will be handy when we are calculating the actual problem or the sum. So average of all the elements in the sample I. So here it's not just xi, but what we'll write is that xi and dot with it, just to denote the average. Okay, so for sample I, let xi denotes the average of all the elements. So what we can say that xi dot, just dot is really important, is that we have just summation or all the samples, okay, in one sample. So summation of all the random variables in one sample. So what I am doing is that I'm just taking the, let me just go back and explain that I'm just taking the average of all this, right? So and it just take giving it the name that it's xi dot, that's it, correct? So this is the very first notation, and let me just move ahead by giving some proper equation number because this will be useful later. So this is our very first equation. So let's say it is equation number 1. Now what we want is this variable xi dot is nothing but the sample mean of the ith population. Can we say that, because we have taken the generalized case ith population, and as such is also the estimator of population mean mu I for I ranging from 1 to m for all the populations. So hence if we substitute the estimators xi dot for the means, then we are good to go for the means mu I, sorry, means mu I. So what we are going to do is that we have summation I equals 1 to m, j equals 1 to n, it is over all the random variables that we have, xij minus xi dot whole square divided by sigma square, and this will have chi-square distribution. But now with nm minus m degrees of freedom. So what we do is, what we have done is the same thing which I gave with the example, that in that we assume that our means are equal, but here the means are not equal, correct? So each is having different mean, right? So here for first I equals to 1 we have some different mean, I equals to 2 some different mean, that is I dot 1 dot 2 dot 3 dot and so on. But there I assume that all the means are equal, that's why our degrees of freedom was nm minus 1. but here we have total different m samples, so that's why our degrees of freedom will be nm minus m. So now it's the time for our variance, to define our first estimator of variance, that it is denoted by SSW. I'll tell you what is this SS. This is sum of squares, but what is this W? Okay. So first let me write it, that again summation I equals 1 to m, j equals 1 to n, and we have xij minus xi dot square. Note that I am not taking sigma square right now because I am just defining this quantity. And so the variable now in above equation, that is in this equation, right, if we'll substitute this by SSW, what we'll get is SSW divided by sigma square. And because the expected value of this chi-square random variable, it's equal to its number of degrees of freedom. So this is very important thing, so I'll write it, that since the expected value, this is one of the properties of chi-square random variable, that the expected value of, I'm just writing chi-square random variable, is equal to the degrees of freedom. So it follows that, since this holds, it follows that taking the expectation of this random variable, that is expectation of SSW divided by sigma square, will be equals to its degrees of freedom, and we know how much it will be, nm minus m. We just calculated in our previous slide this thing. So this we got, and this is nothing but our first estimator of variance. Why? Because if we'll take variance this side and take nm minus m this side, so what we'll get is the expected value of SSW divided by nm minus m will be equal to variance. So at the end we got our first estimator of variance, which is nothing but SSW divided by nm minus m, and this is our first estimator. So let me just write it on a fresh page, that expected value of SSW divided by nm minus m, this is equals to sigma square, and this is our equation number 2, very important equation, because this will be useful when we will form our test statistics. Now let us deep dive into this thing, that what is this SSW, correct? So also one important thing to notice here is that this estimator was obtained, this I already discussed in our previous lecture, but I'm just writing it again just to connect the dots, that this was obtained without any assumption that null hypothesis is true. So without any assumption that h naught is true. So like it can be true, it can't be true, doesn't matter, but this is the estimator without any assumption, in short, right? Now this SSW is called within samples sum of squares. The name is, like I can say, self-explanatory, because it is what we are taking the xi dot, so it is the average of all the random variables, that is xij divided by n within one sample, right? Our j was ranging from 1 to n. So within one sample, let me just go back just to explain it like clearly, that within one sample we have n uh, no, n items. So what we are taking is that we are taking average of this and we are using it here to calculate SSW, right? So that's why we are calling it within samples sum of squares, because it's nothing but we are taking the summation of everything and we are taking square as well, and that's why it is called within sample sum of square, correct? Now it's our time for second estimator. So new thing, time for second estimator. Now since the video is quite a bit bigger, I'd like to extend this to the next lecture, so stay tuned for this. and we'll start from this point again. Thank you.